Hey, everybody, this is Pastor Bryan Ross from Grace Life Bible Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we want to welcome you today to our YouTube channel here, Grace Life Bible. If you haven't already done so, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing and ringing the alarm bell here so that you can stay current with our ministry, both on Sunday mornings and then when we're creating content or posting new things here during the week. I also want to remind you about our featured book here for the month of September, which is the King James Bible in America, an orthographic, historical, and textual investigation. I wrote this book 2 years ago. It was published in September 2019 by Dispensational Publishing House, and this book covers information related to the printed history of the King James text in the United States. So if that's a topic that you're interested in and you want to know more about that, I definitely would recommend picking up a copy of the King James Bible in America. This is a pro-King James book written from a very different perspective and covers some information that I've never seen in any other pro-King James literature. So if you haven't already done so, please consider picking up a copy of that book. I also want to remind you about our Rumble channel here, Grace Life Bible Church on Rumble. We've established this as an alt text site for our YouTube ministry. Should something happen there and we just would want to move over here, we're up to 137 subscribers here. So this has grown slowly over the summer, and that's been an encouraging thing to check out or watch that happen. If you are into alt text sites, please consider checking out our Rumble channel. So I wanted to make a short video this week, basically covering two things. The first thing I wanted to do was update everybody on my health situation. And then I wanted to talk about something I'm going to be doing here in the next couple weeks related to the topic of Sonship Edification, which I'll explain a little bit more when I get to that point. So for those of you who weren't aware, about 2 weeks ago, I started to get sick. I'm not going to get into all the details of who got sick and when and all this sort of thing, but the bottom line is about 2 weeks ago, I started to not feel well. And it started with some body aches and chills and a fever, about 101. I never had a super high fever. And at first I thought I maybe just had a cold or something. And then about 3 days in, I was sitting eating my lunch, and I had one of the things I was eating for lunch was a pickle, of all things. And I realized that I couldn't taste the pickle. So then I smelled the pickle jar and I couldn't smell the pickles. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, I probably have COVID. And so I need to, go get it tested. And so I went and got a test, and sure enough, I had COVID. And so I've been, me and my family, we've been going through that whole saga, if you will, of dealing with COVID and having to quarantine for 10 days, etc. And, I know there's a lot of people out there who might be watching this that have a lot of thoughts and opinions, et cetera, about COVID. I'll just share briefly my experience. My experience was that I believe that I had a mild case, as cases could go. I never had breathing problems. I never thought I needed to go to the hospital for breathing treatments or anything like that. But I will say that in general, it did knock me out as far as being fatigued, having a lot of brain fog. Like that for the first, I'd say 5-6 days, like I couldn't concentrate to read anything or to really do much except rest. So I mean, it as cases go, I mean, I feel fortunate that I didn't have a worst case scenario, but it definitely laid me out for a while. Probably took me 10 days. The days that they suggest for a quarantine, or that I had to quarantine given my situation, took me all of the 10 days to really start to feel better and normal. I would say I'm fully back to normal at this point for the most part. I still have some residual coughing and maybe some congestion now and again, but on the whole, I'm feeling pretty good. I've never missed in 21 years of ministry. I started preaching in the year 2000, at the age of 23 at my church at that time. And in 21 years, I've never missed a Sunday due to illness. Now, there were probably some Sundays where I probably should have missed because I really was not feeling well in that time, but I didn't. But this time it just felt different, and I missed 2 Sundays now. I haven't made any content. I haven't preached. I haven't taught now for about 2 weeks, and so this is the first video I'm making since before I got sick. So I do plan on being back at church on Sunday. I do plan on finally restarting my adult Sunday school class on From This Generation Forever in the King James Bible. That's been delayed now for 2 weeks because, of being sick and whatever. So that's just a brief update on my health. I know from Facebook that a lot of you are concerned. I know a lot of you were praying for me and my family, and I want to just say thank you for that. I appreciate all of that. Not feeling well, it was hard to sort of stay up on all of that and what everybody was commenting or posting or whatever. But I feel good now, and planning on being back in church. So I want to thank all of you out there who are praying for us and for our ministry. I want to thank the 2 men who taught in my absence on short notice. That would be Brother Bud Chrysler from our assembly and Brother Ernie Skierbeck. Appreciate those men being able to, step in and take over the teaching in my absence on not a lot of short notice. So that's an encouraging thing to me to be able to see that. So that's the first thing I just wanted to do with this video. I just wanted to update people on, my health situation and where, I think things are going moving forward. The second thing I want to talk about is back in 2014 and 2015, as part of the Grace History Project. Now, if you're new to our ministry here or our YouTube channel or Rumble channel within the last, even for sure the last few months or even the last couple of years, you might have missed the fact that starting in 2010, I did about a 5-year study of church history, and I called it the Grace History Project, tracing the abandonment and resurgence of Pauline truth from Paul to the present. And we did an exhaustive study on the issue of church history. And even in me saying exhaustive, I know there's stuff that could have been also included that wasn't. But we did about 168 lessons or something like that as part of the Grace History Project. Okay. Now, towards the end of that, the last term or the last year of this class, I spent talking about something that was occurring within the Grace movement, within the Mid-Acts Pauline dispensational movement, called Sonship Edification. And back in those days, back in the mid part of the last decade, this was a very sort of hot button issue with many Grace believers. And so I devoted a lot of time to researching the origins, where this thing came from, where its principal ideas came from, how it came to exist within the Grace movement. And I spent a lot of time on this. I did original research using the primary notes and documents of the primary teachers of this position, their books, their printed notes, and went all the way back and talked about where the ideas of sonship edification originally came from, and then how they were sort of manifesting themselves in this movement within the Grace space, if you will. Okay. Now, I've been noticing lately a trend or a phenomenon as I've looked across sort of the landscape and observed things going on with Facebook and YouTube and different things that are being sort of discussed by different Bible teachers. And I've just really been impressed and come to the conclusion that this idea of sonship edification is sort of making a sort of a comeback, if you will. It's sort of being reintroduced to folks in sort of a little bit of a different packaging than maybe it had before. And so the second thing I just want to say with this video is what I'm planning to do starting next Monday, which I believe is the 27th of September, is I'm going to be making a posting on Facebook, on my Facebook wall, and also here on our YouTube channel, where for as many days as is necessary, I'm going to be reposting one of those Sonship Edification studies every day until I've gone through all of them. And there's probably like 20 plus of them that are really needing to be watched and comprehended to get the full grasp and swath of the Sonship Edification teaching and understanding. Okay. Now, so what I'm going to be doing again, starting on Monday, I believe it's the 27th of September. I'm going to post one of these a day. Okay. Now I'm going to post it in two places. I'm going to post it on my Facebook wall, and then I'm also going to make a post here on the Grace Life Bible Church YouTube page. The post will include a link. So here's, for example, Lesson 167, Sonship Edification, Discerning the Post-Blades Sonship Landscape. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing on that a link to this study. Okay, this study has within it the video of me teaching it. It has a link to the MP3 audio of me teaching it, so if you prefer to listen to it. And then it also has a link to the PDF copy of the notes that I use to teach that class, and then links to anything else related to that you might need access to really sort of comprehend. So I'm going to be posting this on Facebook and on YouTube here on our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in following this, then you have to subscribe and ring the alarm bell here on YouTube. If you don't do that, you're not going to get the notifications that those posts have been made and that information is available to you. Okay, so I might add another wrinkle to it. I have to investigate if it's possible for me to do that. If I'm able to do that, what I would do is I would set YouTube to premiere one video a day in order related to this, and then I would put a link in there to the other information. There's another format that the Grace History Project is available in, and this is on our website, gracelifebiblechurch.com. And if you're interested in this format, what you need to do is you need to click on School of Theology on the navigation bar here, and then you want to click on Grace History Project under Courses, and then that will load this format. Okay, this format is different from the blog. The blog has video, audio, links to notes, etc. It's got everything for you in one spot. Here, you just have audio and notes for each study, for each lesson that we went through. So you can see, folks, that if you look at this listing here, I go all the way back to, let's see here, I went too far now. I apologize for that. I went all the way back to lesson 143, Sonship Edification Introduction. So you can see that I did 20 plus lessons on this. This is an important topic that people need to grasp. And so I'm going to be kind of reposting this information here on my YouTube channel and on the Grace Life Bible Church YouTube channel and on my personal Facebook wall. So if you're interested in following this, I think it's very important information for people to either, number one, revisit, or number two, wrap their minds around, because I'm seeing things, I'm seeing teaching and stuff that is very reliant on the concepts of sonship edification. And if people aren't aware of what this system is, they might not really be perceiving what's going on here with certain teachings and so forth that are currently being done and shared out there sort of in the grace airspace. So I'd encourage you to consider that and to follow that. Now, I'm going to still make a midweek video about other things as I do this, but we're going to look for a daily post related to Sonship Edification on Facebook and on YouTube here starting next Monday on September 29. Okay. Now, before I go, I just want to remind you about our featured book, The King James Bible in America, an Orthographic, Historical, and Textual Investigation. Please consider checking that out. Again, I want to remind you about our Rumble channel here, Grace Life Bible Church on Rumble. I want to remind you about my wife and I. We have a podcast now, the Just Grace It podcast with Bryan and Becky Ross. So please check the comments, the description under this video for links to any of this information that I've presented, including the Blogspot on the Grace History Project, the link to where you can get the information on the church's website, the book, the featured book, Rumble, as well as the podcast. And then the last thing I want to cover here before I go is I want to cover with you the issue of our Bible conference. Today is the 23rd of September. Our conference starts a week from yesterday, the 22nd. And so we're really excited about having another resuming in-person meetings here. We're still planning on having an in-person Bible conference at this time. And the dates for that are October 22nd through the 24th. And we're excited about our theme and our topic this year, which is Philemon, Grace in Action. We're going to be doing a deep dive into the book of Philemon. I've divided the book up between the various speakers. We're excited about our speakers this year. We've got Brother David Osteen from Hope Bible Church in Georgia. He's going to be joining us, as well as Joel Hayes from Fellowship Bible Church in Orlando, Florida. So, again, there'll be links in the description to some things about those men and ministries if you want to check that out. We're really excited about this study. It starts Friday, October 22nd, and it goes for the whole weekend. And so you can check out all the details here in the link in the description. So it's good to be back. I'm glad. I'm excited to be feeling better and being able to sort of get back into things here. And I appreciate everybody giving me a minute to talk about, update you on my health, as well as to just say what I'm going to be doing related to some things with Sonship. So if you haven't already done so, folks, you need to trust Jesus Christ. You need to believe and rely exclusively on the shed blood of the Lord Jesus Christ, his burial and his resurrection from the dead as the only total complete payment for your sin. And when you believe and then you trust the simplicity that Christ died for your sins, was buried, and rose again, you can pass from death to life right now. You can be taken out of the translated out of the kingdom of darkness and into the kingdom of his dear Son, as Paul says in Colossians chapter 1. You can experience forgiveness of sins and justification and have eternal life as a free gift. Won't you make that choice today before it's everlasting too late? Thanks for your attention, and we'll see you next time.